Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace and blessings, all my beautiful, bold black people listening and watching around Baltimore, around the country, around the globe, and throughout the universe. Because, like I always say, our energy reverberates throughout the universe. We have strong energy, us as black melanated people. Good morning, folks. Apologize for yesterday. So, I had some technical difficulties yesterday. I'm working with the MacBook. Everything that I do, from graphics to DJing, whatever have you, I got multiple MacBooks. This MacBook wasn't set up yesterday to be able to do some things that I wanted to do. So I'm doing a follow up rebroadcast today. It's kind of like um, a combination of You Can't Handle the Truth with the Morning Burnt Toast. So it's going to be a combination of things, but it's going to be a power hour easily that we have some discussions. We're gonna be talking about all kinds of things this morning. Um, um, so again, we have all kinds of things getting ready to talk about this morning. We are going to talk about Dr. Shockley's Cultural Wars, new documentary that's out. I'm gonna play some clips. The clips are going to work this time. I got everything set up on my MacBook to be able to play the clips, and I'm just gonna give you a little tidbit. I can't share a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to get in trouble with Dr. Shockley in reference to sharing the whole documentary, so we're not going to go through the whole documentary. But there's some pieces, some key points that I want y'all to kind of see, to get your mouth watering, to hopefully get you to go out and purchase this amazing documentary called Culture Wars. Let me bring up the title real quick here. So bear with me. Let's see here. And as you can see on the screen, it's called Culture Wars, Focus on Black Youth. Um, an amazing documentary. I had an opportunity to watch it. There's so many key points, so many things to take from it. I definitely advise you to take the opportunity and purchase the um, documentary. It's $8, the best $8. I think I told y'all this yesterday. The best $8 I've ever spent on Amazon, and I bought all kinds of junk off Amazon. But to me, this was the most valuable purchase that I've ever made on Amazon, or Amazon Prime, Amazon Video. So, but I'm suggesting to you and everyone that you take the opportunity and please um, go purchase this documentary. I think it's really important that we get to really understand um, what this is all about in reference to, like, when we talk about here in Baltimore City, Yolanda Pulley and myself, when we talk about the educational homicide. This really kind of expounds on it and really lays it out in reference to this cultural war, this educational homicide that's committed against our children. And I had an opportunity to talk to Dr. Shockley in reference to this documentary and just give him just a bunch of kudos in reference to this documentary, because this documentary, again, was amazing. So I'm definitely suggesting that you folks watch it. Um, we're also going to be talking about, and it's funny. We're also going to be talking about my dear brother Andre 3000, and the new flute album that has come out. I got some. Matter of fact, we probably start off with that first. A little bit of news in that area, a little bit of entertainment news. But again, highly anticipated, highly talked about album. Andre 3000 comes out with the flute album, and I'm going to give you my take on it, my analogy. For some of you, you're not going to be able to handle the truth. Some of you, you're going to come after me in reference to it. That's fine. I'm willing to take the hits in reference to this, but yeah, it's an interesting. I'm gonna take this off real quick. It's an interesting it's an interesting album, and I'm just gonna give you my take in reference to this album, what I thought about the album, um, and we're gonna talk a little bit about my dear brother Andre 3000, who I really think, to me, is probably one of the most unappreciated unappreciated rapper out there. To me, I really think that, and I think he even senses it in some cases, that that there's not this great appreciation for him, or at least he thinks there's not this great appreciation for him. But I don't think that he truly understands how many folks admire his eccentric and eclectic uh, uh, palette of a rapper that he is. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So um, also we're going to talk about this whole notion of, there's this terminology that you may have heard before, you may not heard before. It's called Latina Da. It's interesting that Cultural Wars talks about Latina Da. We're going to talk about Latina Da, and we're going to talk about our Latinos or Latinx. Are they really black? Are they really African? And there's so many different. We're going to dig into that a little bit and expound on that and break that down a little bit. And I'm going to show you something. I'm going to connect some things, and I'm going to bring it all back to the motherland. If you stay with me, you'll have an opportunity to catch up on just some strong knowledge, some strong understanding of what is going on. Plus, Brandon Scott comes out, and we'll talk a little bit more about Mayor Brandon Scott coming out. Don't take it the wrong way. Some people are already taking it the wrong way. I know you are. But Mayor Brandon Scott comes out. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And of course, there's some things in the air we're going to talk about. I don't want to give everything out right now. But of course, there are some. And we're going to play some clips. I know the clips hopefully today are working. I tried it earlier. I believe the clips are working. So we will uh, kind of expound on that as well. Of course, family. Like I said, we're going to expound on that. I'm trying to switch some things up here and get some things worked out here. Because of course, I want to thank our sponsors. We do have a sponsor in reference to our program. I'm gonna pull that up right now. Got to thank A Taste of Soul, the Charm City Taste of Soul. Just thank you so much for supporting us. And again, if you'd like to support us as well, I'm gonna throw the information out in reference to supporting us. Look, I'll take anything, even if it's just something just to buy me a cup of coffee. Greatly appreciated. Put a dollar or two in my tank. We can truly kind of have these conversations, and I want folks to join in. I'm bringing this program together. You Can't Handle the Truth. And originally I was on WFBR. I was going to tie it in with the half-hour show at WFBR. Radio is expensive. I was going to tie it in with WFBR. Of course, you don't get as much time, and everything is, synchronized, synced on radio. You have to, half an hour, you in and out, and if you get in deep into a conversation, of course, you can't continue that conversation even longer. That becomes an issue in reference to having these longer conversations. So, but I'm going to share the link because again, I really would like us to have some conversations. I'd like to know what you think. Again, this is not just about me. I'd love to know what you guys think in reference, to a lot of these issues. I want you guys to join in the conversation. I'm trying to copy the link right now. Again, because if you want to join me backstage and be a co-guest, a co-host, whatever you want to call it, you're more than welcome to join me and be a part of the conversation. I would love to have you on. Nobody's restricted. Even if you don't necessarily have a care or liking for me, join me anyway. I'm not going to chop you down. I'd love to just have you come on and let's have a conversation. So I'm sharing the information right there. And I'm going to share the information in all the chats and all of the streams. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, 2 Facebook channels. So if you could catch us in any one of these platforms, anywhere that you might be watching us, you can join us. Again, you can join. Um, you could join me and be a guest host. Um, and I am in the process of sharing that now. I think that went out to all of the platforms. I'm hoping it went out to all of the platforms. Yep, I see it popping up now on all the platforms. Um, didn't actually go out the way that I wanted to. Try this one more time. Again, but if you want to join and be a, hold on, because let's see here. Oh, it did it again to me. Hold on. If you want to join and be a guest host, I would love to have you on. You can come on and be a guest co-host. Why not? Let's see here. Trying to get it to space out here. Things will never want to work when you need them to work. They never work the way you want them to work. Doing it again. All right, I'll try one more time. I'm trying to put a space in here. There we go. All right, so if you'd like to join us, I share that out to all the different platforms, um, whether it's to YouTube, whether it's to Facebook. If you'd like to, again, please join us. Please join us if you want to, and I will bring you backstage. You'll pop up backstage. Once you're backstage, uh, I will bring you in, um, and you could be a guest on the program. Um, but this program is being brought to you by. Let's get this out of the way. Program is being brought to you by one of my first sponsor to help me keep this independent journalism and conversation going on. My first sponsor, Charm City, A Taste of Soul. Shout out to Lou Fields and the whole A Taste of Soul publication. It's a wonderful magazine. I call it the Green Book of today. It has all the restaurants and businesses, black businesses. It talks about events, black events, historical sites, black historical sites. This is my favorite part of it is the our restaurant, retail, and entertainment guide. Again, I truly love this section, and we have to be you know purposeful in reference to our uh, dollar, making sure that our dollar gets spent in our community. When you look around and you see all these businesses out there, like right now, I got this Dunkin' Donuts coffee this morning, and of course you see all these businesses are patronizing their own community, keeping their own community employed. When you buy black and you spend money at a black restaurant, what do you see? Majority in these black restaurants, you see black faces, black employees. Black businesses have the tendency to hire our own and keep the money circulating within our community. Especially you got Tara Cafe in here. I was just talking about Terrence Dixon the other day. They were talking about how one of these publications talked about, I guess, Bob Wallace being the CEO, the most liked, uh, most admired CEO. Well, to me, I don't know how Bob Wallace would be the most admired when you have so many of these black businesses, so many of these black CEOs, especially someone like Terrence Dixon, who has Terra Loft Consulting, that helps black businesses to grow and get at the money for their business. That also teaches you about owning your brick to your business, because it's important that you own your brick to your business and you're not paying all these leases, to other organizations, other ethnic groups, that own your brick. And he teaches you about owning your brick. He has Neighbors Without Walls, which every month goes out and gives out HBAs, gives out toiletries and all kinds of products to the homeless community, as well as not only give out HBAs and stuff out to uh, not only does not only do they give out toiletries and HBAs and stuff like that, health and beauty products out to the homeless community, but they also feed the homeless community as well. So for me, someone like Terrence Dixon, um, to me is one of the most admired CEOs of the city, business people of the city. If you really want to start naming people, to me, um, he would be that choice for me. Um, Bear with me 1 second. I want to do something here. So, but again, if you have the opportunity, please go to a tasteofsoul.biz, a tasteofsoul.biz. And I suggest that you um, link this onto your phone, bookmark this on your phone, um, bookmark this on your tablet and on your computer. I love the magazine style, how it flips like the magazine style. Um, I just love how it has the map and also has Black history in it as well. And although a lot of these freedom fighters and civil rights fighters have been, are gone and with the ancestors, I'm hoping that they would actually take the opportunity um, and put some current freedom fighters on there. Some folks that are truly on the front lines and on the battlefields of our city and our state, fighting for Black and brown people in the state. So, but if you have an opportunity, um, please support a tasteofsoul.biz. All right, so I'm just sitting here answering. All right, so let's see. Um, so that's that. Again, and family, make sure go back to the title page here. Again, make sure you support a taste of soul. And again, family, if you'd like to become a sponsor, I ain't asking for much. In many cases, a few dollars will get your business featured and listed. Um, I'm not asking, for hundreds of dollars, to be able to have your business on here. Let's go back here. And if you'd like to just support, you can't handle the truth. There's my Cash App. Again, anything is greatly appreciated. Whatever you want to send, whether you want to send $1, $5, doesn't matter to me. Again, any amount is appreciated. Like I said, even if it's just to say, "Hey Jay, I want to buy you a cup of coffee this morning because I really enjoyed your program." Um, Also, this program is being brought to you by, most of you folks know that I am the Deputy Director of People Empowered by the Struggle, which is a one stop shop for all struggles. We are a nonprofit organization. We don't take money from a lot of folks. Like we're not grant chasers. So, you have Darren Muhammad likes to talk about the grant chasers, the grant chasing task force that's out there chasing grants. And many times, when they get these grants, they're kind of obligated to, um, play suit and a lot of times to go along to get along with these different organizations, and even in some cases get along with these politicians because the politicians are the ones that help them get these grants. We all of our funding is strictly organic, strictly from the people. Any donations that you'd like to give, we greatly appreciate it. We have a Cash App for that too. I believe it's PEBTS 2020. Again, that's $ PEBTS 2020 if you want to give to that as well, to be able to help our nonprofit organization. And what we do is we're kind of a one-stop shop for all struggles, regardless to what your struggles may be. We try to help you navigate through them. We help folks through homelessness, through domestic violence, through bullying in school. We've helped folks that had employment issues with the city, that were workers for the city. We actually helped them to be able to get their jobs back and to advocate for better work conditions. We were responsible for starting on the transformation of McCullough Homes and holding them accountable for the deplorable conditions in McCullough Homes, and having them go through the 500 plus some odd units, and allowing them to start going through and start fixing these inhumane conditions that many folks were living in down in McCullough Homes. So, um, again, if you need us, we are available. I do see a chat coming in. Let's see. If you need us, we are available. Suicide, thank you very much. Suicide, we will talk you off the ledge. We do have folks that we work with that have PRP services, mental health services, things of that nature. Again, please, if you have the opportunity, reach out to us. Our phone number is 410-481. I'm sorry. Look, I'm about to get the station's number. 410-355-8014. Again, that number is 443 355-8014. And I better remember that number, because I might need that number to be able to make bail. Because as many of y'all know, I am truly angry over the last couple of days in reference to Darren Muhammad. In case some of y'all don't know why I have challenged Darren Muhammad to a 3-round boxing match, and thank you, Brother Umar, for stepping up and allowing us to be able to utilize his gym if Darren Muhammad has the heart to step up and truly challenge or accept the challenge and step into the ring. We're going to do this to Jack Youngway, because the way I really want to do this is just to let all my civility just go out the door. Just put my atonement to the side, and truly look at going after Darren Muhammad in the streets. But we're gonna do this to Jack Youngway. But at the end of the day, the reason why I'm truly angry is because most of you know that our dear brother, and who we call Godfather, because he is the godfather of praise and worship music, Patrick Henderson, has been sick lately, and he's dealing with some health issues, and he's asking for the community. Um, you're right; he doesn't deserve my energy, but again, but because of the seriousness of what he did, um, again, I feel he deserves my energy in this sense, because he truly disrespected an elder in our community. Whether you like him or not, whether you appreciate him or not, whether you have some issues with him, whether you don't have some issues with him, I don't think that we should ever get into the position to where, especially when someone is down, to where we kick them, and we hurt them with our words and our sayings. We should be respectful in certain periods in time. And Patrick has been asking the community for his prayers. And Darren Muhammad said something on his program on Wednesday in reference to, and I didn't even watch the program, but I had folks that came up to me and contacted me and said, man, you should have heard what he said about Patrick. I didn't appreciate it myself listening to it. And, I don't always necessarily agree with Darren, but, I do listen and I do, support him. But this really kind of went over the edge. And Darren, unfortunately, said that he kind of wished death basically on Patrick. He said he was going to get what he gets, and basically, is deserving of, and praying. I'm not praying for nobody, to say the things that he did. It was a vicious attack to me, on Godfather. And again, whether you like him or not, you know, you're correct. And if he doesn't respect himself, he's not going to respect others. Of course not. And he said some ugly. He's been saying some ugly things in the past about people in the past. But it just this one for me really touches me dearly, because at the end of the day, I know the battles that are waiting, that Patrick still has to go through. So for me, it's a little bit upsetting as to the comments that he made. So I'm not gonna waste no more time on it. Again, the challenge is out there. Whenever you want to step into that ring, we step in that ring and do this the Jack Young way. You remember how Jack Young said, that a lot of these beefs out in the streets, should be fought in the ring. So the challenge is out there. And thank you, Umar Boxing, for stepping up. Umar Boxing has my grandbaby in the gym right now. She's gonna be a beast with those hands. So I'm really loving the fact that right, people that he doesn't even know well. Right, correct. And then what's crazy is Yolanda, and that's Queen Yolanda commenting on the Instagram. What's crazy is that he made a statement, and he always makes this statement in reference to WLB, like he can't call in. Folks, look, I've been training board operators for easily 7 years. There's no memo. There's no orders. There's nothing that says that Darren cannot call up any show. It's just propaganda, pure propaganda. We have no memo. Whether it's board operator Sean, whether it's board operator Duran, whether it's board operator Fats, whoever the board operator is, board operator Malik, nobody has orders to restrict anybody from calling in to WLB. So if you don't call into WLB and don't engage in the conversation, it's because you have chosen not to call in, not because we have a restriction. You can call up any program. Matter of fact, the show will be on 11:30 on Monday on WLB, the Patrick Henderson's Meet the People radio show. You can call up then if you want to. Again, one thing that we won't allow at the radio station, we're not going to allow you to talk about anybody at the station. So any managers, things like that, of course, you're going to get cut off because we just don't want to create that type of atmosphere. You can say what you want and even talk about other people outside, politicians, whatever have you. The floor is open. Another thing you won't do is talk about another show. And that's one thing. We're just showing respect. If you want, or you have a beef, or you have something that's going on with a particular show, you call up that show. If there's a show you want to call up that show and have that argument with that show. But don't call someone else's show talking about another host. We won't allow that as well. But outside of that, again, Darren Muhammad's welcome to call in anytime. Nobody's going to restrict him. If he says Darren, we ain't going to know what Darren it is. Nobody's sitting there analyzing the voice. Come in, say your statement. David Wiggins calls in when he wants to. Again, y'all have an opportunity to call in. Nobody's restricting anybody. We want to hear from you. And you can't have a real two-way conversation. There's things that we're going to agree on and disagree on. And we can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, no one is restricting anyone. It's pure propaganda. We don't restrict anyone from coming on the air. Tell him to call me. You love to have a conversation with him. Hey, your number's published, so I'm pretty sure he knows. And what's crazy is that, so yesterday he said something, Yolanda, and I know, folks, I am the chairman for the committee for the people for Yolanda Pulley for her mayoral campaign. And I can tell you that Yolanda has a bunch of stuff that's getting ready to come forward in reference to an actual blueprint and actually laying out a formula for working on almost every agency within inside Baltimore City. You haven't heard her, on the news and doing all this stuff and out there in the streets, because the majority of the time that she spends, instead of being really out there, is really formulating an action plan, everything from reparations to addressing our schools, to addressing public safety. She's working on a plan dealing with public housing and the deplorable, inhumane conditions of public housing. So she's really working on a blueprint, a playbook, like a good coach should come out with a good playbook. Most of these folks are going off of the dome and going off of past experience of what they used to do or what they're currently doing. And none of it is working. And that's because many of them don't know the ground. Many of them don't know from which they are serving, the communities from which they are serving. So, but Yolanda's actually putting together a blueprint. What's funny is yesterday, Darren had made a comment on his show, Yolanda, in reference to dissolving the Baltimore Greater Committee. The Baltimore Development Corporation, which is a quasi-governmental organization. Now, something that Darren doesn't know is that you want to get rid of all the quasi-governmental organizations, including housing as well. And I said to myself yesterday, because he said, some of y'all are probably listening right now and you're going to take my ideas and claim it as your own. And I said, oh, Lord. I said, if you only knew that Yolanda had been talking about for a long time, you know, dissolving these quasi-governmental organizations, you know, we'll still listen to you. We'll still hear from you. We'll still take your input. But at the end of the day, we're not going to have you running, you know, the business functions of our city. We're not going to have you running the housing functions of our city. We're going to bring all that stuff back inside. We're going to bring all that stuff back into the management of the mayor's office, and really put some people that truly have some empathy, some passion, you know, that really want to help the people, and really want to help build businesses, and really want to put together a true development plan for the whole city, not just for downtown rise, while uptown continues to fall. No, we're gonna all that stuff is going to be thrown out. A new day is going to be dawning, and we are going to need the people's support in reference to it. We are going to need y'all to step up and join us, and be a part of this revolutionary movement that's getting ready to take place, with our dear queen, you know, running for mayor, who's unapologetically who she is, and she's not going to hold back the fact that she's unapologetically who she is. And we're going to talk about that too as well today. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we get into the little mayor segment. But let's go ahead and start moving on. So, and we got some of the stuff out of the way, and you know, had an opportunity to address Darren Muhammad. Go back and he's fighting the wrong. He's of course and I told him that when I saw him at the radio station before I seemed to kind of get kicked off WFBR. Who the hell gets kicked off of a, you know, a raggedy ass radio, you know, station, you know, way out there in Glen Burnie in a swamp? You know, who the hell gets kicked out from that? I don't know, but somehow I got shifted and moved. And even though I got moved from the 2 o'clock slot, I was like, well, look, can I come on at 11:30? And I could, you know, I was going to do the live stream just like this on all the different platforms. But of course, I ended up, yeah, we are unapologetically poor. You're right. Um, so again, you know, I was gonna do the live stream out there at the radio station. You can't handle the truth. Keep it down to half an hour for the radio program. Maybe do a little extra half an hour after the radio program was over with. But somehow all the slots, Saturdays and Sundays, I was told by Wave Broadcasting, got locked out. They're not taking any more bookings. If there was an 11:30 booking that was available, I'm not able to book that. So obviously I got locked out, because I was pissing in Darren Muhammad's pond. And I guess either Darren Muhammad didn't like it, somebody didn't like it, or in some cases it could have been one of the candidates, because I was definitely leaning on Bob Wallace and definitely, you know, leaning on Sheila Dixon. Maybe it's a possibility, you know, that I got blocked out that way, but I know I got blocked out. My money is not welcome there. There doesn't seem to be any slots available open on Saturdays and Sundays, I was told, all of a sudden, mysteriously. Ain't no problem. We'll do this a whole different way. They won't suppress the information. They won't keep us quiet in reference to getting the truth out there. And it seems like some of them can't handle the truth. I mean, that's why I titled this show the way that I did, because there's going to be some folks out there that are just not going to be able to handle the truth. So with that being said, let's move on. So I wanted to, yep, that's our agenda. Yep. So I wanted to get into this thing real quick. I'm going to bring it up. So, and y'all tell me whether or not y'all can hear anything. I'm only going to play it kind of low, because I don't want to kind of get bumped off of I don't want to kind of get bumped off of the channels for playing copyrighted music. So, of course, everyone knows that Andre 3000 has come out with an album. And it's not a rap album. And I was surprised, because at first I was like, yeah, you know, damn, you know, I can't wait for this. I know he got some bars, you know. And then to hear that, you know, he said no bars. And I said, no bars? What do you mean no bars? What no bars? What is he talking about? No bars? And of course, I was really surprised and shocked when I found out that this was not going to be a rap album. And I know that I've been seeing videos everywhere in reference to Andre 3000 going around, and I'm gonna bring this up full here. of Andre 3000 going around and take the name off. So 3000 going around and playing flute in Japan, and he's been spotted in New York, spotted all over the place playing flute. And so y'all tell me, just tell me really quick in the chat if y'all can hear. I'm actually going to hit play right now. Y'all tell me right now if y'all could hear it playing in the background. So I'm gonna put it a little low so I can talk up underneath it. So the new album Andre 3000 has come out. Um, it's called the New Blue Sun. I've listened to all of the tracks. Of course, folks are. I mean, this is probably the most talked about album right now on Twitter, on Facebook, on the gram. Everyone is talking about this Andre 3000. The first title is "I Swear I Really Wanted to Make a Rap Album, but um, you know, I'm just not understanding what's going on here." But um, I'm still in support of my dear brother. Um, so the first title is "I Swear I Really Wanted to Make a Rap Album, but this is literally the way the wind blew me." And I guess no pun intended, the way it blew him in reference to the flute that he's playing. Now here's the deal. Again, tell me if y'all could hear the music playing, because again, I had to fix some things with my MacBook to get all of this to work. I want to make sure that y'all can hear the sound. Yolanda, can you hear the music playing in the background? Just want to make sure. It should be playing really low right now because I don't want the algorithms to kind of throw me off air here. So I'm going to talk on top of it. I'm going to play it low. If I bring it up high, this is maximum volume. I'm pretty sure you can hear it. And then I'm going to bring it back low. Just let me know if you can hear it, though, because I am going to talk over it so I don't get kicked off. Um, so let's see. You said, yep. Okay, so you can hear. Okay. Yeah, it was really low. I had it low on purpose because I wanted to talk over it. So I look, for what it is, the type of album. Um, I love it. It's not something that I would groove to. It's definitely something if I was maybe going to sleep and mellowing out that I would probably play. Um, Maybe it was just a chill zone at work or something like that, and I needed something to concentrate on work, and really didn't need something that would kind of take me out of that work mindset. It's an interesting album, but here's the deal, and I know again some folks are not going to be able to handle the truth on this, but like I kept looking for a Lizzo moment. All right, now for those of you that know Lizzo, right? Lizzo, and it went into a commercial break. That's interesting. So I was waiting for a Lizzo moment, okay? And what I mean by Lizzo moment, like if those of you who know Lizzo, like Lizzo is classically trained in the flute. Like, I mean, you hear the flutes a little bit in the background and hear little notes here and there, But like for instance, for me, like Lizzo is classically trained, right? Lizzo has played with an orchestra, with a symphony. I mean, I've seen her play the flute. I watched her one time. She was singing a song. I forget what song it is. Y'all, please don't kill me on the titles of her songs. But there was a song that Lizzo was playing one time, and then all of a sudden she broke out into this Pied Piper, and she was all over the place, and she was rocking it. Like I was like, damn, like I never even looked at a flute, even in that kind of like poppy, R&B ish, type of style before. I never even looked at a flute as being, truly a main instrument like that. But Lizzo rocked it, right? So I went through like all the tracks of Andre 3000's, New Blue Sun, and the whole time I'm looking for that Lizzo moment. I'm looking for that Pied Piper moment. I'm looking for him, to start doing all kinds of riffs and all kinds of going up and down the scales, and I didn't really hear that. Like I was looking for that real, musicianship, because if somebody tells you, hey, I play an instrument, like you're thinking, okay, well, first of all, for you to play an instrument, like it's amazing because, when you play an instrument, both sides, the hemispheres of your brain are working when you play an instrument. So that really makes you more of an eclectic type person. You have a synchronization of both hemispheres of your brain, and both sides of your brains are working when you play and perform music. So especially if you could perform, play, dance, like do all that all together, you know, your mind is just truly just working. And so when someone says, "Hey, Andre 3000 is playing a flute," I'm like, "Okay, this is interesting. Has he always played? Has he played, since, I know we've all played the, what do they call it, the accordion, the recorder, no, the recorder, and the little flute and what is it, kindergarten and elementary school. So like 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 I know we all, you know, what you said, a new wave of black classical music. I don't know if it's even that. Like it's just it's a weird take. It's a weird album, and I don't mean weird in the sense of negative, but it's just strange for me because I think that Andre 3000 to me is one of the most unappreciated rappers out there, and even in some cases, like he talks about. See, all you hear is like whoop 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 whoop. Like I don't know about this album. I'm like, is he just is he pulling my leg in reference to this album? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this one out. But like I know we've played the recorder in elementary school, and I'm thinking like, okay, what is his background? How long has he been playing flute? Is he really going to be doing some really creative stuff? Um, oh, you didn't play the recorder in school? I played the recorder in school. Okay, I thought everybody played the recorder in school. I thought it was something that was a requirement, in most kindergarten and elementary schools. But assembly day, we all get up there and we all sound terrible because we're all missing the notes and we're playing things like Vera Shaka or Three Blind Mice or something like that, right? So I thought we all did something like that. But so I'm like, what's his history? How long has he been playing this instrument? And I'm really looking for again that moment, to where he like, just breaks out, just totally gets jiggy with it, if you want to use that terminology. I didn't hear that. Um, I heard a lot of little, flutterings and little up and down here and there of the scales. But, when I think of flute, I think of, unfortunately, Lizzo. If you're going to play the flute, I'm looking for a Lizzo moment. I'm looking for him to get down with it. Yeah, and I appreciate that. I appreciate he's changing the wave signals because we talk about this so much, me and Yolanda, in reference to the negative energy, the negative waves that are being projected out of rap music, especially drill music. Those negative frequencies. People like um, Professor Griff, and people like David Banner and them talk about the negative frequencies and a certain tone, a certain beats per minute that come out of music that really brings that negative energy into our community. So I appreciate the fact that he went a different way. But even when you looked at Andre 3000's rap, just in general, and his style of rap, his style of music, his style of producing, his style of creativity, it was already eclectic and on a whole different waveform, a whole different frequency to begin with, anyway. And I really think that he is probably one of the most underappreciated rappers out there. And recently, I've heard him say some things to me that was quite alarming and troubling. And folks are saying that he's dealing with some, not necessarily bad mental health issues, but he's just dealing with some emotionally stressed kind of issues, trying to figure things out in life. And folks are saying that he has certain like maybe depression and things like that he's going through. I think he's suffering from the Badu box. I keep hearing this all over the place, and I keep hearing that Badu box, that voodoo that she do, in that area, is some powerful stuff. Everybody from Common, to others who have been in that Badu box, have ended up with some weird uh, luck and some weird misfortunes and some weird, career struggles, after coming out of, the Badu box. And everyone, is claiming she's a witch and she'll tell you she's a witch, you know, yeah, music is the best form of healing. And I think, if anything, more than anything, this might be a healing album for him. This might be more of a healing album for him. That's why I'm not giving it a thumbs down. I'm actually giving it a thumbs up. I'm just saying this is not something that I had expected from Andre 3000. And even with the flute, I was still expecting a little bit more, knowing what type of person, let me get out of this commercial. Especially knowing the type of person that Andre 3000 is in reference to creativity. I was just looking for something that's a little bit more than what he was offering in reference to this. So to me, I'm a little shocked by it. It's not what I was expecting. And like I said, I think he's suffering a little bit from the Baduism, the Badu box, like all the other men that Badu has dealt with, and people say she's a witch. She practices voodoo, on these men. She's produced, putting that voodoo on them. I don't know if that's the case or not, but um, again, very different album, and I like it. But again, not something that I was expecting from him. And I think that, again, that he's very underrated, very underappreciated. And he made some statements that I've heard on some clips in reference to, like, he doesn't think that he can do rap in this time. Yeah, which, yeah, that's look. And Badu don't hold it back. Badu will tell you that she is a that she is a voodoo queen. That she is a witch. She'll let you know she is a witch. She plays into that um deeply. So, um, but uh, interesting album, family. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing on that. Interesting album. I'm giving it a thumbs up. I'm not saying that it's out of this world. It's definitely. I think Yolanda hit it. I love Badu too as well. Don't get me wrong. I think that this, like Yolanda said, I think that this is a healing album for him. And in some cases, this is a counter voodoo album for him. This is a countering the witchcraft album for him. But it's still an interesting album. Um, uh, but he said something recently. I was expounding on this. He said something recently about how he didn't think that he could be a rapper in this day and time. That he doesn't think that he has. It was almost like he was saying he didn't have that paralysis. Like he didn't have that spark, that funk, that fire. To really be able to. And I don't know why he was looking at himself as competing or matching up or being able to do something. Like he sits in a league of his own. So to me, like Wayne sits in a lane of his own. Drake sits in a lane of his own. Little Baby and folks like that sit in a lane of their own. Each one of them having their different styles. And I think, even when you look at drill music and D-boy music, you look at, different artists, even looking at Hove. Hove sits in a whole different league of his own, especially now, because now Hove is not about him, and that's crazy because, like, to me, I put Andre 3000 not in a whole. I'm not saying that he's great like Hove, but I'm saying that he should have had longevity like Hove. Like, to me, Andre 3000 and his skills and his flows and his rhymes and everything that I've ever heard from him was just super dope. And it's a style of his own. It's him. It's him when you hear that verse. Um, and even when he does stuff like "Hey Now" and stuff like that, to me, like "Hey Now" was dope. Like, even the video, the concept, like everything was dope. Like, to me, that's where Andre 3000, he should have been known as that eclectic, rapper. You know what I mean? Like, anything could come, anything could happen, anything can go. You know, But see, that's the thing. See, and Yolanda is saying that she, because some of you may not see this, because she's on Instagram. For all of you that are watching on Facebook and YouTube, it says that she said, I think that he's talking about music, and I think there's a way I could make this. Oh yeah, set as a banner. There you go. Hey, there we go. I don't know why your picture's not showing, um, but Yolanda says that he thinks that he's talking about the music has changed and he doesn't want to compete with nonsense. But to me, people like him don't have to compete like that. He is his own style. Like there's no competition. It's like Hove is his own style. There is no competition. Just like Wayne is his own style. There is no competition. Like just like Drake is his own style. There is no competition. You know, just like Cardi and Nicki and all of them are in their own, to me, their own lane, their own groove. Even coming down now to what is it, Ice Spice? Like, you know, they're all in their own lane, you know, and they all do things differently. I watched something recently where uh, uh, Ice Spice said something about reference to she likes to keep her rhymes simplistic. She don't like to have these complicated rhymes. She says she don't like to have these complicated rhymes. She don't like to have these complicated rhymes because she doesn't want to have people to have to think too hard. She wants to have people understand it and get it from the first verse about what she's trying to spit. Um, let's see if I'm losing control here, trying to turn things off. Let's see. Um, and you were saying that you were talking about Badu, that you love her. So, and I love Badu's stuff too. Badu is definitely uh, truly dope. But let's see. Where's the one? Where is it? Where you said that? But again, to me, Andre 3000 was kind of in a league of his own. So I'm not sure why he figures that he has to compete with what's going on in this world. I don't think that he has to compete in this world. He is in a league of his own, and he shouldn't even, uh, sweat anything like that. Let's see here. Okay, he shouldn't even have to sweat anything like that. So, all right, so let's move on because I want to get into the main subject today. So, I had an opportunity, and again, check out the album, listen to it yourself, and comment, tell me what y'all think about the album. So I had an opportunity to watch this documentary. I got turned on last week to this documentary on the Carl Nelson Show. If you don't have an opportunity to listen to the Carl Nelson Show, you can listen to it online on WOL radio. You can find it on TuneIn. You can go to the WOL site. I believe it's 1580 or something like that. Or as well as you can listen to it on WLB, Baltimore.com. And check out our show too on Mondays at 11:30 to 1. The Patrick Henderson's Meet the People radio show. So Carl Nelson is the morning show for both stations from DC and Baltimore. Took over for the Senator Larry Young show, who retired. And Carl Nelson has been having some amazing guests on there recently. They've been talking about everything from reparations, which if you follow uh, my program and have heard me on my videos, I keep telling you that Yolanda Pulley is the only candidate talking about reparations and restorative justice to the legacy residents of Baltimore City. But one of the things that we also had a conversation, or they had a conversation on the Carl Nelson show this week, was in reference to the educational system, and they had Dr. Kemp Shockley, that's KMT Kemp Shockley, who was on there, who's an educator, professor, so much more. Matter of fact, I read his stuff off yesterday. Let me pull it back up real quick so I could read who Dr. Kemp Shockley is. He just recently put out a documentary, but Dr. Shockley is He is a professor in the University of Houston College of Education. He's also the co-executive of the Chi Institute, which is an organization that does consulting, community building, creates documentary films, and creates educational content. Dr. Shockley has has authored dozens of articles, including 5 books focusing on education of Black children. His most two recent books is entitled Campus Uprising, published by Teachers College Press, that came out in 2020, and the African-Centered Education, with the subtitle Theory and Practices. And then that's published by Myers Education Press and also 2020. Additionally, his work as a professor and researcher, he's also worked as a professor and researcher, and he served as a middle school teacher and school leader, lecturer, filmmaker, and as a board member and a reviewer for several journals. Dr. Shockley holds a PhD in organizational leadership and policy from the University of Maryland, College Park. So he is a College Park graduate. So, I would definitely, he had some great accomplishments there. I definitely feel that, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. He has some great accomplishments there. And I really feel that he truly is, and this is Dr. Shockley's page here, his LinkedIn. You could all see. And I truly, let me get myself out of the way here. So I really think that, again, Dr. Shockley is one of the many foremost experts in reference to an Afrocentric curriculum for our children. And Dr. Shockley has a documentary out, and that documentary is called Culture War, Focus on Black Youth. And I definitely suggest that you take the opportunity and check it out. It's on Amazon Prime Video right now. It does cost $8. To me, it's probably the best $8 that I've spent. And I bought a lot of junk on Amazon before in the past. And to me, this is probably the best purchase that I have made in a very long time. It is a detailed, just very informative. There's history in here. Many folks that you're going to see on here have been on other documentaries like Hidden Colors. Dr. Shockley himself has been on, I believe, Hidden Colors 5. So there's this a whole bunch of educators and professors and foremost experts in our community that truly know what is going on in our community. Now, I'm going to give me a second. I'm going to pull up this documentary. I'm going to pull it up to a part that I really want y'all to see. And I'm going to play just a few little clips, a few little inserts from this documentary, because I want y'all to kind of get your mouth watering and hopefully to get you to consider and think about even purchasing this documentary. It's so well put together. It has just a plethora of information, family. I'm going to play a few little clips for you real quick that I really want you to listen to. So the first clip that I want you to listen to, I'm going to pull it up in a second here. The first clip that I want y'all to listen to, and I want y'all to really kind of put your thinking caps on and just think about some of the stuff that I'm going to play. So we all know the school to prison pipeline, but do you know where the actual principle came from? Like, we all talk about it in reference to the school grades. And we talk about the school grades all the time where we say, well, we know that they monitor the reading, whether or not our children can read by the time the 4th grade hits, in order to decide how many prisons or how many beds possibly they're going to need in the future in reference to prisons are concerned. But do you know where that really came from? Do you know where that really came from? Some folks may theorize that it came from the government. Some folks may think that that was a governmental thing that actually came up with that metrics of measuring children and their reading scores to determine how many prisons to build. I'm going to show you the history right now. The history is documented in this documentary. And again, shout out to Dr. Shockley for putting this information out there, and the man behind the research. I want y'all to check this out. The man who's actually behind the research of this. All right, so we're going to pull it up right here. So let's, I'm going to move myself out of the way. And I want y'all to watch this really quick. And I believe, Yolanda, you had a comment here. Slide it over some. I'm putting it in there now. That was just the title. I wanted to show folks the title of the documentary, which is Cultural Wars, uh, um, Focus on Black Youth. But this is the actual documentary. This is just a clip. I want to get your mouth watering. Please go out there and show your support, and purchase this documentary so you can learn a lot more. But family, let's just take a listen to this one part really quick. And I want you to hear something in reference to where this metrics came from in reference to measuring our children and whether or not to build prisons or not.
Certain age and a certain grade level within the school system. So, psychologists seem to believe that Black youth are doing well up to a certain point. When do things begin to go awry? When do they go badly? I wanted to explore this more. I wanted to know more about things when they are good and when they're bad. I spoke to the world's leading expert on the failure syndrome.
Well, in terms of the school to prison pipeline, only 12% of Black boys are proficient in reading by 8th grade. Now, literacy is the precursor to incarceration. If we teach Black and Hispanic boys how to read, we have an 88% chance of keeping them out of jail. But there are many schools that will spend more money on police and security guards. There are schools now with no counselors, no librarians, no fine arts, no physical activities. We've cut all that out because we're trying to create a school to prison pipeline. In my bestseller, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, I talk about the 4th grade syndrome. And we have research documenting the Black boys' scores decline in 4th grade. Now, our objective was, with that research, to encourage teachers and administrators to bring in more mentors, more mentoring programs, rites of passage, more tutors, make the curriculum more Afrocentric. It was never designed to be used by governors to look at 4th grade reading scores and use that as a catalyst to build more prisons. But many governors pimped my research and decided this is a way of letting us know how many prisons we will need in the next 5 to 10 years.
Did y'all catch that?
It was never designed to be used by governors to look at 4th grade reading scores and use that as a catalyst to build more prisons. But many governors pimped my research and decided this is a way of letting us know how many prisons we will need in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow, family, like that is just truly profound. Like, I mean, um, I mean, they pimped his research. They took his research, which was trying to point out the fact that what he was trying to do was he was trying to show where the deficiencies were and trying to get more additional resources put forth in order to help these children and where to put it at. So it needed to be put at before the 4th grade level, before they reached the 4th grade level. But you had governments and governors, around the country that utilized his research, pimped his research, he said, to decide when to build prisons. Like, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you're going to see inside this documentary. And again, this documentary, Cultural Wars, um, a focus on Black youth, that really just emphasizes the fact that an Afrocentric curriculum is something that is definitely needed in our schools. Um, and I'm going to move ahead to some other pieces, some other parts that I'm going to play that I want y'all to really, truly get an opportunity to just uh, get an idea of what this documentary is about, hopefully to water your mouth and get you to go out there. And that's just in episode one. It gets, it gets even deeper. I'm going to play this other part um, that I think is so important to play. I'm going to play this other part. Now, in this particular part of the documentary, this is in chapter two, um, you know, uh, a lot of our educators, especially in black schools, tend to be white women. And what we forget is that the way that white women are raised, a lot of times, what a lot of these white women, first of all, are outside of these urban communities. And the way that they are raised in many cases is to preserve, um, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna put that up there real quick so folks can see that. So a lot of the educators, a lot of the teachers that are in our schools, a lot of it, the majority is white women. And the way that white girls, when they're young to when they become adults, the way that they are raised really and truly is to kind of preserve that white privilege. They're really trained to preserve white privilege. They're in many cases, when they're first coming up, of course, their parents may not allow them to, mingle and mix with any type of mixed race children. So for the longest, that child only environment is mostly white, and there is that white uh, pride, that white supremacy, that white privilege that is kind of instilled into these white women. Most white women, and in a lot of cases, you have to understand that it's done by the parents, it's done by the grandparents. It's the preservation of, again, white privilege, of white supremacy. Um, Most groups are going to do that. I mean, prime example in the Latino community, Latinx community. Sometimes, although we're going to get into that conversation as well, that the Latino community doesn't necessarily. A lot of Latinos don't necessarily see themselves as black. They don't realize that they're African people. We're going to dig into that really quick. But what's interesting is even in the Latino community, it's a no-no sometimes to bring home, if you're a black man, I mean a Hispanic man, a Latino man, Latinx man, you bring home a black girl into the home and say you're dating, your mother or your father or even your grandparents may be upset, or even as a Latina, a Latinx female, you bring home a black boy, a black man into the household, they're going to look at you kind of crazy because they expect you to be with what they deem to be another Latino. And so it's the same thing in the white community, but especially with white girls are very protected of that white privilege, of that white supremacy. So what do you think happens when you take a white trained educator and then put them into an urban environment to where you mostly have all black boys and girls in? Let's go to the clip real quick, and they're going to talk about it really quick with a white teacher. And then we're going to expound on it a little bit and talk about it a little bit. Let me pull that up for you. Okay, let's share this. I'm going to play the clip. Let's bring the volume up.
So what I meant when I
I got to
said
move it
that,
back a little bit.
because there's things that I should have known. And I chose, I don't even know if I'm going to say I chose not to retain it. But I guess I did retain anything that was taught to me. So if the system was that way then,
Hold on.
How much has it changed? How much has all this stuff changed over time? I need somebody to make it plain for me. As much emotion and the teachers felt about not knowing information about Black history, I also needed to be set straight because I remember where I had started from in my investigation of awareness. I had been traveling around the country and I needed a reality check.
So, what I meant when I said that if you're racist, teaching is a perfect profession for you to go into is kind of the same reason why, like, what's the adage, why don't you see the KKK and cops in the same room? Because they're the same person. I think that education has been a place where white women are sheltered and protected to do pretty much whatever they want. And education is not changing because white women don't want it to change. And I think that when we look at this data, as a white woman myself, you can't be a teacher teaching and not interrogate the data and wonder, well, what am I doing and how am I contributing to it when white women are the majority of the teaching force. So if Black children are encountering racism in schools and the majority of people teaching and working in schools are white women, Black children are encountering racism from white women.
And why would they not want to change it?
Because it benefits them. White women wouldn't want to change the system because it benefits us. It elevates our children. It elevates people who look like us, When people say, why do you want to be a teacher? They're always like, oh, did you have a good teacher? Did you have a white woman who loved you and wanted you to do this? I think, whiteness as a system, we've seen it continually. If it does change, it changes specifically to protect itself. And I don't think education is any different. I can't imagine how we can look at other systems and say this is how whiteness perpetuates itself to maintain power and not look at school systems in the same way and ask critically, what are white women doing to maintain this power dynamic that continually crushes Black children? I am invited into spaces with Black communities. I am not part of the Black community. So I think that the greatest thing that I've seen Black communities do and Black families is, I think you know your children best.
While she was talking about education, the same lesson can relate to all areas of people activity. Is the entertainment industry going to depict your community the way it would really want to be depicted in the middle of a cultural war? Will you experience economic fairness within a cultural war? Is it responsible to assume you will see fairness in labor, law, politics, while in the midst of a cultural war?
Wow, like so what she said was just so profound. Like, what interest do you think we are going to protect? It is not in a white teacher's interest to uplift Black children. It's not. And even in some cases, because of how they were raised, again, they were raised with that preservation of whiteness, that preservation of white privilege, that white supremacy being instilled in them, even subconsciously. They may go into a school system, like that movie. I don't know if it was Susan Sarandon or whoever it was, that went into the school in Compton in LA somewhere, and thought that she was going to be the white savior, of these Black and Hispanic students. Even subconsciously, at the end of the day, it's going to be about preserving her culture, about preserving whiteness, about preserving her system and her status quo, and not looking at changing or transforming or uplifting. She's only going to do but so much. She's only going to be engaged but so much. At the end of the day, in many cases, a lot of this is really and truly technically a job. Um, and it's because even how they educate us as white educators, um, there's a disconnect. A prime example, gave an example, my son. My son can testify to this. My son is on my Facebook page. My son can testify to this. It was in Benjamin Franklin Middle School. and it was during Black History Month. And I happened to come in his room. I'm always checking up on his lessons. I'm always seeing what he's engaged with in school. I'm very, observant of what's going on in his schooling. And I want to make sure that he's getting the best education, even if it's a public school education. That's all we can afford. And so I come into his room. It's during Black History Month. And I saw that he had a William Shakespeare book. I forget, might have been Taming of the Shrew or something like that. And, and I read it before in high school. It was a required reading in high school, but it wasn't required reading during Black History Month. And so I looked at the book and I said, well, what is this? I said, oh, this is, even he was kind of upset and defeated at it, because William Shakespeare at a middle school age is definitely a complicated read. It's not an easy read, especially with all those old English style words, thigh have come up the yonder, and things like that, things that they don't really understand because they really understand more contemporary English language. And so, I'm looking at the book, I'm like, damn, like, it's Black History Month, all these Black literaries, you got Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou. I mean, I could go on, in reference to the amount of Black authors out there that have written books. Like, I'm like, really? Like, this is what your English teacher is presenting to you during Black History? I was so upset that I called the principal up and I scheduled a meeting with that teacher. And so we had our meeting. We had the English teacher, who I now see as white. The union representatives were there. The principal was there. And of course, security was there. The school police was there, because they didn't know what was getting ready to jump off, that I had called the meeting with this English teacher. They didn't know what was getting ready to jump off, and you got this Black family coming in, inquiring about, their children. And so, they asked me to go ahead and, give my presentation, my reasoning as to why I came into this meeting. And I say, I go into my son's room. This is February, Black History Month. Although it's the shortest month of the year, I'm like, I look at what he's learning in English class for this month, and he has a Shakespeare book. He's reading Shakespeare. And I looked at the English teacher. I said, with all these Black literaries, Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, all these folks that have written books, all these Black literary greats that are out there, you mean to tell me that the only thing that you could find during Black History Month was William Shakespeare? And so I said, can you please explain to me, why would you, during Black History Month, why wouldn't you want to present something, a Black literary, a Black poet, somebody, to instill these children to see that there's someone out there that has written something other than a white person, William Shakespeare? And the English teacher turned to everyone and said, and looked directly in my eyes and said, sir, he said, I come from New York City. I come from Broadway, from the acting community, the theater community. Immediately, I already understand his mindset already, coming from New York, and I've been in the theater myself as a child, and so I already knew, some of his mindset. As soon as he said that, he said, I thought, sir, that at least if they didn't look smart, that they could at least sound smart. And when he said that, family, I'm telling you, it took a lot, and I could see the school police looking like, let me get on this side of the table where Mr. Jason is, because I think he's getting ready to launch across that table. And it took a lot for me. I said, are you fucking kidding me? Pardon my language, family, but I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? I turned to the principal. I said, do you hear this bunch of crock? Do you hear what he just said? I'm turning to the union representative. I said, did you just hear what he just said? Like, and that's the disconnect. That's the disconnect. And he thought that if he taught these Black children coming from impoverishment, underprivileged community, that if they didn't look smart, now who's to dictate that my son didn't look smart? He's already classifying. He's already making judgment. He's already placing labels on our Black children, and figured that if I teach them William Shakespeare, at least they will look smart. I mean, they will sound smart, even though they may not come off and look smart to society. It took a lot, I'm telling you, to keep my hands off of this educator. Another incident took place, same school. We get a phone call from my son who had to leave the classroom because he felt offended by one of the teachers. I think it was, I want to say it was the social studies teacher, because the class was acting up a little bit. And in the process, he said, y'all need to sit down and stop acting like niggers. And there were white students in Benjamin Franklin as well. And so he tried to deny that he said that. When we came up to the school, when my son called me up to the school, he tried to deny that. But even the white students came out and said, Mr. Jason, who knew me from the neighborhood, knew that I was no nonsense. They knew us from Brooklyn Homes for over 14 years. They knew that we were the pillar of the community. We were the store. We had an illegal store. We sold everything from funnel cakes to icy cups to dinners to chips to juices. The kids came there to our house right there on Mariband and got their snacks and stuff before going to school in the morning. And they knew that I was a no-nonsense, zero-tolerance type of person. So I even had the white children coming up to Mr. Jason. I swear he said that. I couldn't believe he said that. Mr. Jason, he said that. I'm telling you, he said that. But when you don't have any respect, and when you look at them as the N-word, when you look in your classroom and all you see is a C of a C, and I mean, SEA, a C of N-words, when they start to frustrate you, the truth comes out. And that's the type of educators that we have. Family, I'm telling you, this is a great documentary. It just lays things out, lays truth to power out. I got to give just so much kudos to Dr. Kemp Shockley for just putting together such a well documentary. I'm going to go on to another little piece real quick, and then we actually going to get into our other topic that I really wanted to get into. And again, it really talks about truly it really talks about just the importance of an Afrocentric curriculum. And it even talks about critical race theory and how critical race theory is misinterpreted and how critical race theory is attacked. And it tells a beautiful story in reference to Kemet, and how strong Kemet was. This is definitely a documentary that you definitely want to take an opportunity to check out. I want to show you one of the youth in here. I really want to highlight one of the youths in here. I really do. I want you to see this. This is what you get when you get an Afrocentric curriculum and you instill that sense of pride, history, knowledge, understanding from a Black perspective. This is what you get in return. This is the fruit that bears. And look, we had to fight Dr. Sonia Santelises in reference to just trying to revamp the curriculum, and in the majority of these schools that are majority Black students, to really push an Afrocentric education. Now she's introduced little tidbits here and there, and again, it's hard for it's hard for white people to truly want to teach something like this. It's not something that they want to teach. But I want to play this part for you because I want to show you, I want to highlight one of the young people. And this is just one of many of the young people in this documentary that are amazing in reference to their knowledge of science and things. You could tell this young man is going to go into something in reference to medicine, a doctor, something, dealing with biology, research. I want to play this and let y'all just meet this young man.
To make a real difference when we know who we are, or is it all just talk? Well, I found a number of youth who provided evidence of Dr. Span's idea. Here's a few of them. may I reintroduce you to the intellect, introduce you to the talent, and introduce you to the skill. When they know who they are, they give you their intellect.
What's this lid-like structure that seals off the entrance of the larynx? The epiglottis. Good. What's the rounded part of the lung called? Apex. Good. The bronchus enters the lungs through this hole. Hilus. Name 4.
When they know who they are, they give you their talent.
I don't want to give you it all, family. You gotta get the documentary yourself, and you have to check this out yourself. I mean, and that young man, that young king, young king in training. I think he's probably about 12 or 13 years old. He looks like, and he's featured throughout all the different chapters, um, all the different episodes. And he asked him questions in reference to other parts of the body and chemical processes, and I mean, he is amazing, and that's all built around an Afrocentric curriculum. And that educator that you saw there, he's one of the directors of this school that teaches an Afrocentric based curriculum. He technically tells how the majority of the students that they have in their school have gone on to I believe it's called Division I schools. They've actually gone on, and with many of them with full scholarships, full rides, because they're so smart. They are doing. I believe they were saying that they do uh, long form division and multiplication in the first grade. I mean, you know, and that's why it's the important. That's why it's so important that we have a curriculum again that's centered around Afrocentric, around being an Afrocentric education. It's just so important that we do that. Um, and again, they feature a whole bunch of young people in this documentary and family. So I'm just suggesting to you that you truly um, have an opportunity. You need to definitely hold on a second here.
Need
You definitely need to take the opportunity and check this documentary out. And there's so many different strong leaders and educators and doctors and folks that understand the social behavior of children that are in here. And they just go through a whole bunch of them throughout this documentary, just truly uh, codifying the importance of having a Afrocentric curriculum. Now, I want to get into this next subject, which actually the next subject starts off in this documentary, by the way, because one of the things that you see in reference to an Afrocentric curriculum, or even they talk about it in this documentary, critical race theory, teaching critical race theory, and just unfortunately, those truly not understanding what critical race theory is, and truly attacking critical race theory, um, because they don't have an understanding of white people don't have an understanding of it. You know, they think it's about them, and it's not about them. It's about us, really and truly. And in some cases, it is about them understanding what has taken place throughout the diaspora, throughout the globe, in reference to colonization, getting them to understand colonization. Um, and what the effects of colonization has done around the globe and in this country. It's about teaching them the truth. It's about teaching them, that Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. Contrary to what you believe, Christopher Columbus died. It was Juan Leon Ponce that was the one that actually discovered Florida, the coast of Florida. The furthest that Columbus ever got to was the eastern coast of South America. Um, but I want to play this part because What's interesting is, I'm going to play this next part, is that what's interesting is that when you present these arguments in reference to like an Afrocentric curriculum, when you present this, you're going to get attacks, especially in a city like this. We're 63% African American in this city. But even though we are the majority in this city, there's still groups that are going to come in and say, well, why should I learn this? I'm Latinx. I'm Latino. I'm a Latina. Why do I have to learn this? You're going to have even folks in the white community that may have children that go to the school. There are some schools that have a small base of white children in. They're going to say, well, why should my child go to an Afrocentric school? He's white, and you're going to have a lot of folks that are going to be on the attack of this. And that's what you're seeing in reference to many of these providences, many of these townships and counties throughout the country, to where they are attacking things like critical race theory, thinking it's about them, but it's really not about them. And in some cases, it is about them because they don't know their true origins. They don't know their true history. I'm going to play this next part, and there's a concept called Latina Da. Latina Da is the, in some cases, on the opposite end of Latinidad, it is the denial of your African ancestry, not understanding that you are African. There's no such thing as the Latino community. Folks from Latin America, Central America, South America, Mexico. They want to identify themselves as Latino. I'm Mexican. I'm Guatemalan. I'm this. I'm that. No such thing. I'm Dominican. When you sit there and you speak to people in the Dominican Republic and you say, you're African. And they said, no, I'm Dominican. I'm Dominicano. I'm a Dominicano. They don't want to identify themselves as African. But all the research and everything says differently. And in this documentary, again, this is a powerful documentary. I'm recommending that you please purchase it. It's the best $8 that you're going to have. One of the things that he really expounds on, and we're going to dig into this in the last few minutes that we have, is this notion that Latinos think that they are a separate group, and that they are in some cases, they are going to reject, or they are rejecting the notion of critical race theory. They're rejecting the notion of an Afrocentric curriculum, not realizing that in some cases they're rejecting their own history and their own origin. So I'm going to play this next part. Let me pull up this next part. I want y'all to and Yolanda is saying that they understand it. They just don't want to admit it. Yeah, and that's what the whole Latina Da word, the notion of the word, it is truly the rejecting of your Afro history, your African history. And there's a gentleman in the documentary from Colombia. Yeah, yeah. There's a gentleman from Colombia. Hold on here. There is a gentleman from Colombia that I want y'all to see because he talks about it. Hold on. Make this go away. He talks about it in this part. And then I want y'all, and it's the last part of the documentary that I want y'all to watch. And then we're going to talk about it. The identity, of the so-called notion of Latinos.
Expose them to playing an instrument. Try to push them to joining a robotics team. Pushing their boundaries, expanding their mind, their concepts, their ideas.
I appreciate those messages, and one day I'll find a way to get that powerful footage.
In relation to culture,
And since a number of Los Angeles City Council members, such as Neri Martinez, had disparaging things to say about Black people and Black youth in particular, I was glad I had the perspective of Mr. John Cortez, whom many would refer to as being Afro-Latino. John is from Colombia, South America. His commentary provides insight and background as to why we heard members of the Los Angeles City Council speaking in terms of competition with Black people, as opposed to the solidarity that many Black people had been hoping for with immigrants to the U.S.
So if I go to, let's say I go to an institution and they have to ask for my demography, so the health system or whatever. So you see the categories they say now it's getting a little better. They say Hispanic, white Hispanic, or Black Hispanic. Sometimes you see those categories too. But yeah, for some reason, and they try to put people that come from that part of the world into this huge category called Hispanics. But again, I'm not Hispanic. I don't consider myself Hispanic. I was Hispanic if the boat I came, my ancestor came, just arriving and the Virgin Islands. So I'll be speaking English, or in Salvador, I'll be speaking Portuguese. I think for me, I say like an African that I happen to speak Spanish, so I'll put it that way. But you see what I'm trying to explain? So the Afro-Latino thing, I think it comes from the fact that his Latinidad or Hispanicidad denies Africanidad. See what I'm saying?
What does that mean?
Okay, I will elaborate on it. Most of the things that you people consider Latin are actually African, but because of the social construct of the Latin thing, it pretty much denies the African thing. So a lot of Black people from those countries, they felt the need to be recognized within Latinidad or within Latin, the Latin thing. I don't know if that makes any sense. So that's why they hyphenated it for Afro-Latino, just to say and to infer that there is Black people in the part of the world known as Latin America, because Latinidad or the Latinity denies Africanity. Race relationships in the U.S. versus race relationship in Latin America. In the U.S., I think I'll go a little way back. I think it has to do with the way that the colonies were managed, depending on the empire. The British were like cutthroat, there's complete separation. So that created a lot of tension in those two groups. The Spanish and the Portuguese, they kind of mingle more. They rape a lot of women, for instance. So they created some societies that were to have a lot of mixed children. Of course, it's not love, but it was product of a power dynamics. So in the U.S., you have this separation. Even it was a law; it was legal to have the separation. The segregation thing. That didn't happen in any of the countries of Central, South America, Latin America. It didn't happen. But of course, the dynamics was, you see a lot of, the inequalities and the inequities, but there was not a law that segregated, that separated, as opposed to in the U.S. I will say that is a little bit different. But let me say this. Let me put it this way. Also, these countries in Latin America, they kind of sold this idea of multicultural societies, and something they call mestizaje, which mestizaje means the mixing of all races. And they have this myth that in Latin America, one race emerged, which is the Latin race. And it comes back to what we said. So this Latin race that emerged somehow denies the African element in there. So I think it's more that way. But a lot of people actually believe that we are integrated. We are the same. A lot of because they've been saying this. They sold this idea. They teach that in the educational system, and a lot of people believe it. But
like like this, I'm telling you, this is an amazing documentary to me. Like so let's unwind this really quick in the last few minutes that we have here. Um, so he talks about the Latina die. That's the folks that accept, that they are Hispanic, that they are Latino, and they reject the whole notion that they are African. And like he said, really and truly, me speaking Spanish really depended on where my boat kind of landed. If I landed down in El Salvador, I'd have spoke Portuguese. If I'd have landed in the Virgin Islands, I'd have spoke English. If I landed in Haiti, I'd have spoke French. You know what I mean? So, and there's this thing he said they teach in their schools in Latin America that they are one, that they're this one Latin community, that they're this one Latin race, when technically there's no such thing. The indigenous people to the region were the Aztecs, the Mayans, the native indigenous people of the region. Just like I tell y'all in Puerto Rico, it's kind of the same thing in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, we have this thing in Puerto Rico, where you have the Tainos, African and the Spaniards, and we're mixed of that particular race. They are mixed of all different types of races, including in some cases there are Mexicans that are mixed with German, Italian, Spaniards, the indigenous people of the area. There's so many different things that they are mixed with. I'm going to go into this next clip real quick because we got to move fast, because we only got a few minutes here. But it's this denial of them being African when they are African. Like it's so funny. I want to play this clip of AOC, one of our representatives, who talks about the fact that Latinos are black, and they attacked her for this.
My identity is the descendant of many different identities. I am the descendant of African slaves. I am a descendant of indigenous peoples. I'm a descendant of Spanish colonizers. I am a descendant of all sorts of folks. That doesn't mean I'm black. That doesn't mean I'm, native.
So she talks about it because she had made a comment that Latinos are actually black. She had made this comment, and of course, they had got on her, and even I want to go to Fat Joe. Even Fat Joe talks about it. I'm gonna try to bring that up real quick because we got to move fast here. Okay, so I'm going to pull up this next clip real quick. We only got a couple minutes here. So Fat Joe says the same thing. Fat Joe says, that Latinos are black people.
As far as Latinos and hip hop, when I came in, I tell everybody I was the first Eminem. I grew up in the Bronx, and in junior high, I would battle 20 black dudes, and it'd be me, a little blonde.
Hold on, that's not it. Trying to find the clip. Oh, right here.
All the music is African. Brazilian music, all of it. Dominican music, Spanish drums. All the music is African music. So, you getting on the Afro beat now. I've been in that. They've been doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? And they knew all the music is African. You know what I'm saying? But you right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even in Puerto Rico, when you go to Caribbean, like let's speak about Latinos not being black. Latinos are black. In Cuba at one time, there was 8 million Cubans. 5 million, unfortunately, were slaves. 3 million were actual Cubans. And they integrated and had babies. Same thing with Puerto Rico when you go to Loíza. And when you talk about Santeria, that came from the motherland, Africa. Sometimes Latinos might even identify themselves with African and black culture more than black people. This ain't no crazy thing. Fat Joe ain't on crack.
Yo, what's up? So, Fat
Yeah,
Joe
so
been
I
doing
just
media
wanted
with
y'all
his
to
new album coming.
I just wanted y'all to see that clip real quick. So again, Fat Joe, saying that again, Latinos are black, and you got to understand how the world kind of moved around, um, and how things became into existence. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Uh, y'all have to understand how all of this came into existence. Um, so I'm gonna play that clip real quick. So you have to remember, at one time there was a thing called uh, Pangea. Pangea is all the tectonic plates, all the land masses were all grouped together. Um, and I want to play that clip real quick for you to just get you to see real quick what I am talking about, and then I'm gonna play this last clip. But this is this is a display of the continental, what they call